No, this is not clickbait, and I kind of wish it was clickbait. So, as you can see from the title, I made a mistake. Multiple, maybe like 150 mistakes, but is it a mistake if I will appreciate this mistake for the next few years? I don't know. There are better ways to deal, obviously, with crippling depression and suicidal ideations and the thoughts and emotion and habits or feelings too, you know? But I don't want to get into that because I want to celebrate life, reading, knowledge, acceptance, joy, rather than the other parts of my life. And so, although I do acknowledge that there are better ways to cope and deal, everyone is open to criticism, but I don't think that my way of surviving should be anyone's battleground. So when commenting, and if anyone wants to comment on this video, I would rather you share your thoughts on your own journey, on your own battle with depression, if you feel comfortable, and which books have you read to, you know, get your mind away from things, to escape reality for a bit, or even which books have helped you to learn more about yourself and about whatever mental illness or issue that you're dealing with, because there are a lot of books about grief, depression, different types of mental disorders, and you guys know already that I am one who collects and read those things as well to help me and help myself. So yes, obviously there are better ways to cope and deal. However, being the person that I am and the history that I have had, there are much, and I guarantee you, much worse things I could have spent my money on, and much worse things I could have done to myself, my body, my mind, everything. So all in all, to say that yes, the title is not clickbait, it's actually a real title. That's really what happened, and these are the 150 books that I collected as a result. And actually there's more than 150 books. I think these are the only ones that I could like figure out and trace in a really like specific time zone, because there were books that I bought before and after as well, but these are the books that I was collecting in one area during that time. And honestly, I didn't even think I would make this video. I didn't even think that I would be collecting them to make a video. I just thought that if I was going to make videos, I would make my normal book hauls. But did I anticipate having 150 books bought in like a span of 1 month when I wasn't feeling good? No. So that is the result of that, and we have a lot of books to go through, and different books from all kinds of genres. So there's fiction, a lot of fiction, but there's also a few self-help books. And you guys know that I have many varied interests, and I feel like holding myself accountable to the things that I want to do, to the projects that I set for myself. So those who follow my channel or my other channels will know that I like to talk about self-help. I like to talk about writing. I love writing. I love fiction writing, non-fiction writing. I love learning about craft. I love teaching craft. I love like basically taking knowledge and repurposing it in my life and trying to help other people. And these projects that I have coming up, they're entertainment, but they're also cathartic for me. Like going through that process of researching and understanding yourself through fiction and non-fiction is something that has kept me alive since I was 7 to 10 years old. So it's something that for the last 10, 15, even 20 years I've dedicated my life to, and it's not a bad thing. And it can be that some people think that it's not a good thing either, but for me personally, it's something that brings me happiness, joy, passion, love, drive, and just the motivation. Like every day I actually do still wake up happy and motivated and loving and creative, and just, you know, I just want to be on this planet. I want to be on this planet, and I want to contribute to this planet. I want to contribute to conversations. I want to contribute to the fictional world. I want to contribute to so many things, and I'm ready next year. I don't want to cry because it's like such a big topic for me. It's something that like really is like in my heart. Like I feel like my heart is speaking, and when you feel like your heart is speaking, you're more likely to like express big emotions, and I don't want to be expressing too many big emotions because I just want to get into the video. But just to quickly finish off, I really want to basically move forward in my career next year, and that involves a lot of books and writing, and that involves putting myself out there and hoping for the best. And if not, I tried and I gave it a shot. It's been 15 years that I was behind the scene, and it's been only 1 year that I'm trying to be on the scene and a parent to the scene and putting myself out there and filming videos. Filming videos is a concept, is something that I've wanted to do since I was a early teen and teenager, and I've seen a lot of people on their channel, and I was following BookTube for over 10 years or 10 years. I think it started in 2012, and I've been here since that time. I've met one of my favorite creators at some point, and you know, like I've just been behind the scene, and it's people that get on the scene or that comment behind the scene that actually elevate our communities, right? That actually give other people the courage, the strength, and a, you know, blueprint almost of some sort to put themselves out there and inspire more people to put themselves out there. So I know it might not seem that everything is interconnected in the way that I was framing it, but it is. So on the one hand, I'm someone who deals with really big mental problems and strife and emotions, but on the other hand, I am this really happy, creative, loving life person that loves to read, and somehow it creates who I am. And I try not to be too identity based in these two things, but it's something that I'm still working through, and I can't fight it either, because if I start pretending that these are not who I am, then I'm completely lost. So yes, I bought 150 books and we're gonna go through them very quickly. Let's go. I hope you guys are ready, because I personally am not ready. I think I strained my shoulder really bad at the gym, so I'm skipping the gym today because I've been having so much pain that I can't move this shoulder. So I'm just gonna grab the books very awkwardly and not move my neck, because my neck also hurts, and we're gonna just go downwards like this. I want to go from this side first because I really wanted to show this stack, but let's just go with this middle here. All right, quickly, I got Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari, and literally I've heard so many great things about this book, as in like it's been around for a long time. I didn't want to buy it for like 20 bucks or 30 bucks. So it's about online dating, modern romance. A lot of great authors have reviewed it in the back. So yes, I got this at BMV Books in Toronto, downtown Toronto, while me and my friend, we were browsing. So that's one book. Then I got Gender and Our Brains by Gina Rippin. By the way, those of you who are clicking off, I promise there are fiction. There's a lot of fiction in this stack. We're just going through randomly the order that I have them here. It says here, How Neuroscience Explodes the Myths and of the Male and the Female Minds. Loving the cover and the duality. So yes, I love gender and gender studies, so I feel like it's time for me to learn more, so I picked this up. Oh, I have so much pain. The stacks are moving already and I'm scared. Like this would be instant. Like I'm sitting on the floor right now, but this is still like a meter high, and books are heavy. So I have Les Chevaliers d'Emeraude tome 2 et 4. So the Chevalier d'Emeraude, I don't know how this series has been translated in English. I think it's one of the series that got me into reading when I was younger girl in Quebec, and this is French. So It's by Anne Robillard. It's like a 14 book series. Some of you who watched my previous videos would know that I lived a few months in Montreal and that I rebought my favorite series in my favorite copies that they have, and these copies are really expensive, but I got them at Valley Village in Quebec. But I was missing 3 of the volumes, and I was missing 2 and 4, and I'm still missing volume number 1. So as soon as I get that, I'm definitely rereading this entire series, because this series was literally my Game of Thrones at like 10, 12, or 13. I don't remember how old I was, but yeah. So definitely am so freaking excited to start these. Then we have 3 books by G.R. Ward, and these books are basically from the same series, and it's like a 20+ book series, and it's the I can't say it. The Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Yes, so we have here Lover Unveiled, we have The Sinner, and we have A Warm Heart in Winter. So the reason why I got these is because I'm collecting the series, and at some point I want to start it and then be up to date as she releases the books. So yes, I don't see anyone ever talking about these books ever except Peace Love Books, the girl that runs Peace Love Books, Jess. I think her name is Jess. She loves the series as well, so yeah, I want to pick it up. I seriously should not have filmed this video today because the pain that I'm in is excruciating, but I'm pretending like I'm okay, but I want to yell as I pick up these books and as I move my body, but let's keep going. I got here 4 books that are about the British monarchy. So we have Elizabeth and Margaret, The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters by Andrew Morton. Andrew Morton is the one that wrote the biography on Princess Diana, and I have it on my shelf, and I want to read that one first, and then I want to read this one, and then I want to read another one by him, and it's Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, and again by Andrew Morton. So I'm gonna read those, and then I also have Diana, Finally the Complete Story by Sarah Bradford, and I saw reviews and apparently this one is pretty okay, it's pretty good, so I want to read this. And there's another one that I want to read, but I forgot who wrote it. It's also a biography of Princess Diana. For those who follow my writing channel, you will know that I am utterly obsessed with Princess Diana. I think that we have similarities, as in the things that she struggled with are very much things that I struggle with as a BPD person. Although I'm not royalty and we don't lead the same life, I feel like the struggles are real and similar. So yes, that's why I love Princess Diana so much and I relate to her a lot. And Spencer, the way it was portrayed by Kristen Stewart was just amazing. Kristen Stewart is one of my favorite actresses since I was a kid, and she did a brilliant job. So please go watch that movie, and I'm gonna keep going before we stop at every book. And then finally I also have to get Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan. And yeah, I really want to learn more about them. It was a big thing when Harry decided to leave, so yes. I was never into the British monarchy, and I don't think I still am. Like, I just am just been curious, like with everyone else, and the recent passing of the Queen. I'm not here for a discussion about the monarchy. I just want to read and see for myself what I think, and that's why these are like the only books that I have about that. And yeah, honestly, I'm just really interested in current affairs. As I grow older, I feel like I'm getting more involved, or at least more alert and attentive to the things that are happening in our world. And that doesn't just, please, that doesn't just involve drama or gossip. Or I'm filming a future video about the books that I got that have to do with Iranian authors and the problems that are occurring right now in Iran. Because for those of you who don't know, I'm actually half Iranian, so look forward for that video, and it's gonna come soon at some point, and I'm gonna be filming some reading vlogs, sharing my thoughts and opinions and spreading awareness as well. But that's another video. Let's get back to these stacks. I think we're gonna start going into the other stack because I'm afraid that these are gonna fall on me. Alright, this is the next stack. So first I have Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen, and I do think this is I feel like this is like a existential fictional tale blending warm deadpan humor and pitch perfect observations about the human condition. Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead is a crackling exploration of what it takes to stay afloat in a world where your expiration and the expiration of those you love is the only certainty. So yeah, love books that talk about that. Then we have Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book apparently follows Carrie Soto, obviously, and Taylor Jenkins Reid really writes great, compelling tales where she makes the main character seem like they're a real character, real celebrities, but it's not the case. And this one has to do with tennis, and is it tennis? I think it's tennis. Yes, it's tennis, and the main character plays tennis competitively, and something happens and we follow this life of this girl, and I think she's related to one of the characters in Malibu Rising. I don't know, there's something with Taylor Jenkins Reid and connections between her worlds, so I've been trying to read her books in order and making those connections, but I'm not here yet. I haven't read Malibu Rising yet. Then I have Foe by Ian Reid, and I went to see Ian Reid talk in person at the Toronto Authors Festival. Toronto Annual Authors Festival, yes, TIFA. And Ian Reid is actually Canadian. I had no idea. Canadian living in Ontario, and that was a shocking surprise to me. And he was talking about his other novel, which is I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and it was one of my favorite novels at the year that I read it. And I really want to pick this one up because this one is his older novel, and it has something to do with space and this man being prepared to be one of the select few to go to space. And it's this journey of what happens throughout the years as he's preparing for this big move to space, and then something weird happens, etc., etc. But knowing Ian Reid, it's just going to be such a compelling take. The way that he goes about writing his characters and the story is just something that I have not seen in a while. And he has a third book that he was talking about that just came out, and it's called Respread, but I didn't want to get that one because it's only in hardcover, and so far I've been collecting his book in paperback. But I really want to read this one coming up, and then I'm gonna probably pick up Respread when it gets released in paperback. But if you haven't read Ian Reid, I highly recommend his books. They're like a mixture of thriller and of what is really going on, and kind of like existential, and like there's so much more than what it appears to be. That's basically what I would call the premises of his book. Then I got Everything in Its Place, First Loves and Last Tales by Oliver Sacks, and it's basically a collection of stories, and I'm going to just read you a brief blurb, and this is what got me to pick this up. Everything in Its Place brings together writings many never before published on a rich variety of topics. Why do humans need gardens? How and when does a physician tell his patient she has Alzheimer's? What is social media doing to our brains? So yes, these are topics that I am definitely interested in and things that I think about on the regular. So I want to read this because this is such like my type of thing. It's the thing that like scratches that itch in your brain, because every time I'm doing any kind of thing on my computer and a thought occurs, I need to go and investigate it. That's just, maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's not, who knows, but I love these types of collections. Alright, speaking of mental health, I have Never Enough, Neuroscience and Experience of Addiction by Judith Grisel. I only read about 2 pages of this and I'm already hooked, and I really want to know what's going on. Yes, addiction is one thing that I really am fascinated by, want to learn about, and help myself through. So yes, pick this one up. I hope it's good, but so far I like it, and it has really good reviews online. Then we have Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh, I think, yeah. This is a classic author, and I have not read anything by her, and this one is a interesting story. It says here, through the story of Charles Ryder's entanglement with Flight's a great Catholic family, Waltz charts the passing of the privileged world he knew in his own youth and vividly recalls the pleasures denied him by wartime austerities. At once romantic, sensuous, comic, and somber, Brideshead Revisited transcends Wall's early satiric explorations and reveals him to be... It's a man, sorry. He reveals him to be an elegiac lyrical novelist of the utmost feeling and lucidity. Seems good. I've been seeing this author around more and more lately, and they have quite a few books that are out. So yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 books I can see here that has been published. So yes, it is a male author. And the reason why I was struggling to read the back is because the font is just not legible. I think it's a British male author, and I don't know anything about this author. I feel like I keep hearing about him, but I keep not knowing or retaining any information about him because his name sounds like Edith Wharton in my head, and so I get confused, but then I have to separate the two. So anyways, long story short, this is my first book by this author, and the reason why I picked this one up is because when I was researching books that have like dark academic feeling or setting, this one came up a lot, so that's why I got this. And I think there is a movie adaptation of this book that is a bit dated, but there is one out there. Then I got Love and Fury by Samantha Silva. It says a novel of Mary Wollstonecraft, and that's all I need to know because I love Mary Wollstonecraft / Shelley, so I had to get it. I love the cover, so beautiful, obsessed with it. Then I got Girls Against God, a novel by Jenny Havel, and this has been translated from Norway. Is it Norwegian? I don't know, but it follows a like girl, and there's a bunch of weird shit happening, and I think that I never see this online. I never see this like on BookTube, but I see this a lot being recommended on what's it called? Bookstagram. From my understanding, it has to do a lot with realism and female rage, and those are two things that I really like, so I had to get this, and I just love the cover. Then I got Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll. I know that this book has existed for a while, and I wanted to pick it up in the past, but I just forgot about it. And now there's an adaptation on Netflix with Mila Kunis. I don't want to say anything more about this. Basically, this girl is going through some kind of trauma, and she is hiding her past, and she has a new life, but now the two are converging, and we follow her story. That's all I know, and that's all I want to know because I want to read this and then watch the movie on my own terms. Then I got Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and this man has been more and more recommended on my feed, and I have heard of this book like 2 years ago when I was following this girl's YouTube journey on like how she changed her life basically, and she was recommending this book a lot, and I kind of forgot about this book and then saw it again, and I was like, oh, I need to get this. I really want to know his story. This guy, David Goggins, basically overcame a lot of childhood trauma. It says here, childhood was a nightmare. Poverty, prejudice, and physical abuse colored his days and haunted his nights. But through self-discipline, mental toughness, and hard work, Goggins transformed himself from a depressed, overweight young man with no future into a U.S. Armed Force icon, one of the world's top endurance athletes. So yes, I knew it had something to do with weight loss because that girl, her channel was focused on mental toughness and weight loss as well. So definitely want to read this one as I am entering, again, a journey to losing weight and feeling happy and comfortable in my body once more. Since we were talking about weight loss for a bit, I grabbed this book out of the pile. It's Fast Feast Repeat by Jen Stevens, and I used to fast, and it used to be a great thing, and I feel like my body was the healthiest it was when I was fasting. So I just want to know what research this person has put into intermittent fasting. I want to know what is being said, because I know it's like people are trying to say like fasting is bad, then other people say fasting is good, then other people say fasting is just a way of rebranding like an eating disorder. I don't know what to think anymore. There's too many thoughts and opinions, so I figured why not read my first fasting book and just form an opinion and see. Personally for me, I'm okay with doing a small fast, as in like stop eating around 6 and 8, and then the first thing in the morning I'll eat, you know, so I have like 12 to 16 hours of fast. I don't have any problem with that because I'm someone who had a binge eating disorder, and I'm actually still working through it right now, and it's just like something that helps me with that, because or else if I just like not think about it and just emotionally indulge, then I will never like be healthy, and I will never feel right. And I think fasting has been the one thing that has helped me throughout these last few years, and it's something that I want to get back into. And it's a bit harder when you're at home and like right next to the fridge, so I don't want to be boredom eating anymore. I want to eat because I'm hungry, I want to eat because I want to be sustained, etc. Then I got books by Rachel Cusk. I have Arlington, I can't say things that have G's in them or H in them or T's in them. First I have Arlington Park, I have The Last Supper, and then I have the Bradshaw variation. So from what I've gathered, she writes a lot of nonfiction and memoirs, and I love that type of genre, and she has been recommended by all my favorite authors, so like Stephanie Danler, etc. So I want to read her books, and here it's The Last Supper follows a summer in Italy, and I just am so obsessed with Italy lately as well, so I definitely want to read her books and collect them because first of all, the covers are beautiful, there's no denying that. Like, whoever did these designs, good marketing. Then I have This Is Pleasure by Mary Gateskill, and it's a story, and it follows the Me Too movement, and it's very small, and I heard some great things about this, and it's about like a woman who's facing her friend who is against the Me Too movement, or something has happened, and it's like a nuanced conversation about the Me Too movement. That's all you need to know, that's all I needed to know, and that's why I picked it up. Then we got Heaven and Hell by Bart D. Aham, and it's a history of the afterlife, and here it says, in the clear and compelling prose, religion scholar Bart D. Aham recounts the long history of the afterlife, ranging from the Epic of Gilgamesh, I'm reading that soon, to the writings of St. Augustine, and focusing especially on the teaching of Jesus and his early followers. One of Aram's startling conclusions is that there never was a single Greek, Jewish, or Christian understanding of the afterlife, but rather a numerous competing views intimately connected with the worlds of which they emerged. Only later did they develop into the notions of eternal bliss or damnation widely accepted today. So, yes. Okay, so now I've grouped a bunch of biographies together, and I'm just gonna say the title, the author, and you guys will figure out the rest because you will know who it's about. This one I followed online, and it's Nala's World, One Man, His Rescue Cat, and a Bike Ride Around the Globe. Oh my god, so excited. Look at the cutie! Ah, I love this story. So, can't wait to read this, the actual story, but I love what I've been following online in the last year or so. Then we have Demi Moore's Inside Out, Sally Fields in Pieces, and then we have Shonda Rhimes' A Year to Yes, How to Dance It Out and Stand the Sun and Be Your Own Person. Then we have Notes from a Friend by Tony Robbins. Then we have The Mauritanian by Mohamedou Ould Slahi, and I watched the movie and it was amazing, and I can't wait to read his story in his own words. Then I have Brother and Sister Memoir by Diane Keaton, and this follows a family saga, kids of the suburbs of Los Angeles in the late 1950s. Finding Me by Viola Davis, obviously had to get this. Oh my gosh, she's such a cutie. Then I got Once More with Feeling by Sophie McCreish, and I believe this is a Canadian author, and I saw this cover when I was working at Chapters, and I was like, I need to know what this is about, and I need to read this. So let me just quickly a blurb. Once More with Feeling follows Jane, an artist navigating her closest relationship while fixating on her own perceived failures and self-imposed isolation. When Jane receives a student grant to attend a workshop in London, England, she sees the opportunity to leave her tedious life behind and start anew, bringing along with her new friend Kitty, who Jane will not admit she has a little in common with other than a shared appreciation for boxed wine and various other drugs. In London, Jane struggles to improve both her craft and her mindset, while Kitty thrives, and a once exciting trip abroad transformed the already uneven dynamic of their friendship, leaving Jane feeling more withdrawn than ever. As her increasingly destructive behavior gets in the way of her artistic ambitions, her most important relationships, those with Kitty, her absent lover Richard, and a discredited therapist named Anna, begin to deteriorate as Jane starts to examine her own growing dependence on substances. So yes, I knew I would love this, and now I really want to read this next. Then we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and this was a really popular book in the summertime. It says 6 summers to fall in love, 1 moment to fall apart, a weekend to get it right. So summer romance, very cute. Really want to read this one because I feel like everyone read this summer. Then we have Bill Bryson's The Body, a guide for occupants. This will be my first Bill Bryson's book, and I heard great things about this one, so I just had to get it because I want to learn more about the body. Then we have Blindness by Jose Saramago, and this book has been highly recommended when the pandemic started, and I'll read you why. It says here, a city is hit by an epidemic of white blindness, which spares no one. Authorities confine the blind to an empty mental hospital, but there the criminal element holds everyone captive, stealing food rations and assaulting women. There's one eyewitness to this nightmare who guides 7 strangers, among them a boy with no mother, a girl with dark glasses, a dog of tears. Blindness is a powerful portrayal of man's worst appetites and weaknesses, and man's ultimately exhilarating spirit. So, can't wait to read this one. It seems like an amazing tale. I heard about this next one from TikTok, and it's What My Mother and I Don't Talk About, 15 Writers Break the Silence, edited by Michelle Filgate, and it's blurred by Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, you will devour these beautifully written and very important tales of honesty, pain, and resilience. So yes, can't wait to read this because I feel like there are some things that me and my mother have started to talk about but haven't in the past. So I think this is a very interesting dynamic to explore and through the writerly lens. Then I got this cute little book, and it's called Be Your Own Heroine, Life Lessons from Literature, and it's Sophie and Charlotte Andrews, and it has little illustrations and it talks about heroines in literature and how to become and emulate them, and I think this is a really cute concept and a really cute book. Obviously I had to get this book, and it's Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. Matt Haig has struggled deeply with depression and suicidal ideation, and so I think that his books are something that I will relate to a lot, so I bought this one, but I can guarantee you I've probably bought his other books too in the future. So yes, I want to start with this one though, because when I was really in the thick of things, like I made a list of reasons to stay alive, and the first thing is books. I mean, it's not the first thing, but it's one of the top few. So yeah, can't wait to read this one. Okay, then I got Lemony Snicket's Poison for Breakfast, and it's a really small and tiny book, and I just read the blurb off the camera, and it's really funny, but it's basically like a who knows what this book is about until you read it, but it's apparently labeled by Lemony Snicket a little philosophy book and a little exploration on bewilderment. So I think this is going to be fascinating, and knowing Lemony Snicket, it's going to be a treat. Then we have The Mafia Bomber by Malcolm Gladwell. It's his newest release, and I love Gladwell. I've read his Outlier book and enjoyed it and made a video out of it, and I've been collecting his other works, and I'm going to read them, I think, to chronological order. So when I saw this one in paperback, I've been collecting the paperbacks, I had to get it. So just a brief, quick summary. In The Bomber Mafia, Malcolm Gladwell weaves together the stories of a Dutch genius and his homemade computer, a band of brothers in central Alabama, a British psychopath, and pyromaniacal chemist at Harvard to examine one of the greatest moral challenges in modern American history. Most military thinkers in the years leading up to World War II saw the airplane as an afterthought, but a small group of idealistic strategists, the Bomber Mafia, asked, what if precision bombing could cripple the enemy and make war far less lethal? In contrast, the bombing of Tokyo on the deadliest night of the war was the brainchild of General Curtis LeMay, whose brutal pragmatism and scorched earth tactics in Japan cost thousands of civilian lives, but may have spared even more by averting a planned US invasion. In this book, Gladwell asks, was it worth it? The Bomber Mafia is a riveting tale of persistence, innovation, and the incalculable wages of war. So, knowing Gladwell, he will do the topic justice, he will put a lot of research in it, and I think he will be as respectful as he can be. Then I got Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire, and this is the 6th or 7th book in the Wayward Children series. So they're very small short tales about children from our classical myths that, not classical myths, but classical stories that literally come back to the real world and they have to deal with coming back. And I don't know what much more, but I've been collecting this because I want to start binge reading the whole series, but I don't want to start with one because they're so short. I want to read all of them in one go. Then I got this series by Holly Jackson, which is the Good Girl's Guides to Murder the Good Girl. Oh my god, I'm getting tired of filming, so my brain is not working. So it's the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I think that's the title, but they didn't have the first book in hardback, so I just got the second and third book, which is Good Girl, Bad Blood, and I got the third book, which is As Good as Dead. So I just need to collect the first one and then I can binge read the trilogy. Then I got Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay, and this is a academic book kind of about young ladies, and it's actually a Australian classic from what I've heard. And the reason why I learned about this book is through Dakota Warren on TikTok, so obviously I had to pick it up. And it says here it's reminiscent to Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, and Jeffrey Eugenides' The Virgin Suicide. So obviously I know already it's gonna center around women and young ladies and what happens and what's going on, and maybe something is more sinister that's at play. So can't wait to read this. It's much shorter than I thought it would be, but it is definitely an Australian classic. It confirms it in the back. Okay, a next book about creativity and creatives, fictional book obviously. It's Briefly a Delicious Life, by a novel by Nell Stevens, and this sounds so good. I'm just gonna read you the blurb. It says, Blanca falls in love with George Sand the moment that she first sets her eyes on kissing Frederick Chopin in the garden of an abandoned monastery in Mallorca. It's the winter of 1838, and Blanca has been haunting the village of Valdemosa since her untimely death hundreds of years earlier. And all that time, she's never seen anything like George, this striking woman in a man's clothing. The other villagers, however, are more alarmed than enchanted, and they soon become suspicious of George's dress, of the couple's foreignness, of Chopin's persistent and alarming cough, and of what exactly they're doing there. I think this is like a fictionalized tale of George Sand and the ghost, who's Blanca, I believe. I'm not too sure what's happening, but this definitely looks like something that I will enjoy reading. Then I got Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a classic business book, one of the best ones, one of the ones that said to have helped people build their empires, businesses, whatever. It's kind of like a attracting guide to money and thinking about money type of thing. So I want to read this in the next year because I was on a good financial literacy trend and then I stopped for a few months, so I want to get back into it so I can learn more and be more financially literate. So yeah. Then we have Let Me Tell You What I Mean by Joan Didion, and this is a essay collection by Joan Didion. Rest in peace, Joan Didion. And yeah, I want to read this one. This is the newest one. I think these are pieces that have not been published in a collection but have been essays that she's written throughout, so can't wait. Then we have Eros the Bittersweet in the new edition that's been released by Anne Carson. I love Anne Carson, Toronto author as well, and she's really involved in doing retellings of Greek myths and just translating Greek myths, and she's a great classicist, one of the most renowned worldwide right now. So here it says a book about romantic love. Eros the Bittersweet is Anne Carson's exploration of the concept of Eros in both classical and philosophy and literature. So yeah, can't wait to read this one. Okay, so we've genuinely made it only through a third of these books. I'm genuinely so tired. My shoulder is just killing me so much. Like, I literally cannot move and it hurts to be here right now. So I think we're gonna continue with the other 2/3 in another day, and I'll be obviously changing how I look, and maybe the camera angle might change a bit, the lighting might change a bit, but I will be back. That's the most important part, and we will get this video done. And I don't want to like continue this video with like low energy because I could feel myself. So I want to come back, start high again, and then finish off this video with grace. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Hi, I hope everyone's back for round 2. because we have still 100 books to go through, and we gotta get them through, and we gotta get going, and we gotta push all the way through. So let's get into it, and I'm gonna go much quicker on this second round than the first round because I think I underestimated how long it would take me. So yeah, if at this rate I will be filming for 5 hours, so I want to try to film for maximum 3 hours. So let's get it rolling. So the first book we have here is Night House by Leigh Bardugo, and this is the first book in this Alex Stern series where this girl is being recruited to go to Oxford? No, not Oxford, Yale, and there's a secret society, and somehow there's magic involved, and she's the one tasked to figure out what's going on with these Yale secret society. Secret societies are a thing in real universities in United States, so it does have some ground in real life as well. And I have a lot of academia books, dark academia books that are fiction and non-fiction, so this is something that I love to explore, especially in the US setting, because in the US they have a lot of societies and houses and whatnot, so I think this one's gonna be really fun. A lot of people enjoy it, and the second book is coming in January, so I pre-ordered that one as well. Then we have Ballad for Sophie by Philip Mello and Juan Calia, and this book is a graphic novel, and apparently it's a very beautiful graphic novel. It follows this journalist that tries to convince this man to basically tell his life story as to why he stopped being a pianist after he won, I believe, a big title. And the way I discovered this book is through the I always forget, but I watched this podcast for 2-3 years now. I'll confirm on the screen here, but it's with Ariel Bissett and Raylene LeMay, and I've been watching those two on BookTube for over 10 years, so obviously I listen to their podcast, and Ariel has recommended this one, and a lot of people seem to have enjoyed it since, so I had to pick this one up. They also recommended this graphic novel, and it's An Embarrassment of Witches, and it's by Sophie Goldstein and Jenna Jordan, and I just love the purple blue tones. These are my two favorite pastel-like colors. I love purple, I love blue, and yeah, another graphic novel, and I'm definitely gonna read this next fall because now I think the season has passed, so I'm just so excited. I don't know, I remember hearing what this was about, but now I forgot, and there's not really a blurb here, but don't worry, because as always I'll link all the books down below for you guys to go and check them out. Then I got Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I believe this is one of his most famous books after 1Q84, and I've heard only great things about this one. It's a fan favorite, and I had to pick it up, and I love that there's a cat on the cover, and I really want to read this one in the next coming year because it just seems like something that I would really enjoy. It says here we meet a teenage boy, Kafka Tamura, who is on the run, and Nakata, an aging simpleton who is drawn to Kafka for reasons that he can't fathom. As their paths converge, acclaimed author Haruki Murakami unfolds readers in a world where cats talk, fish fall from the sky, and spirits slip out of their bodies to make love or commit murder in what is a truly remarkable journey. Okay, I just remember this is a realism tale, this is magical realism, so really can't wait to read this one. This sounds really peculiar. Then I got Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, and the reason why I got this one is that it has won an award, but I forgot which award it was. I don't have the copy that claims which award it had won, and I heard great things about this book through Jack Edwards' channel, and obviously everyone knows Jack Edwards. He's the father of BookTube at the moment, so I had to get this one. And yeah, apparently a lot of readers say that this book is really life-changing and beautiful and beautifully written, and it's about Black British boys in London, so I definitely want to read this one. And the next book, I basically bought it just for the cover, don't judge me, but the content is also something I always gravitate towards, but the cover is just super freaking stunning, and I paid almost full price for this, even though I had a 30-40% discount, but it was still pretty expensive, in the $30 margin, but it was so worth it because it's Siren and Muses by Antonia Angres. and it's just so gorgeous. I'm gonna read briefly the blurb. It's 2011. America is in a deep recession and Occupy Wall Street is escalating. But at the elite Rennes College of Art, students paint and sculpt in a rarefied bubble. Louisa Arsenault is a thoughtful, observant 19-year-old when she transferred to Rennes as a scholarship student, but she soon finds herself adrift in an environment that prizes novelty over beauty. Complicating matters is Louisa's unexpected attraction to her charismatic roommate, Karina Piontek, a preternaturally gifted but mercurial daughter of a wealthy art collector. It says here, a debut novel, and it's for fans of Writers and Lovers and The Goldfinch. And if you guys watch my channel, you will know that Writers and Lovers is one of my new all-time favorite novels. I loved it so much, and that book prompted me to buy Lily King's all of her books. Like all of her books she ever published. I think she has 6 in total or 7. Anyways, it doesn't matter how many she has, I have them all and I'm going to read them in the coming future. But when I get a favorite author, I have a hard time just binge reading their things. Like Sally Rooney is one of my favorites and I can only read one novel a year. So like, it's the same thing with Lily King. I don't want to read all at once because I'm scared to read all at once. I don't know if anyone can relate. So if this new debut author gives me that same vibe and feeling, it's probably going to be something that I'm always going to look forward to having one of her books per year, hopefully, to read. So can't wait to read this one. The cover is just so freaking stunning. Then I got Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and I've heard so many great things about this book in the last few years, and it's such a winter-like tale, and it's a Rapunzel, it's what? No, I was gonna say Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I love fairy tales, and honestly, if this can give me kind of like Once Upon a Time vibes or feelings, I will be so freaking happy because I kind of feel like I'm missing that kind of magic in my life since the show stopped airing. And yeah, that's how I learned about the figure of Rumpelstiltskin. So really want to read this one in the winter time. Then we got One by One by Ruth Rare, and I just love thrillers so much. And this one is set in the French Alps, and those of you who know, I'm obsessed with anything French related. So basically it's like this tech app group that goes to this chalet in the French Alps, and then obviously there's a storm going, and then they're cut off, and then someone goes and seeks help but he doesn't come back, and then as each hour passes it's getting colder and people are missing one by one, I believe. I haven't read anything by Ruth Rare yet, and I think I'm like the only one, but I think it's because I'm still not over Gillian Flynn, so I feel like I had to take some time to give my brain the distance, the psychic distance from Gillian Flynn before reading more thrillers, because I'm afraid that I will always compare new thrillers to an old thriller that I love. So, but I'm ready this year to go back into the thriller genre because it's one of my favorites, so I don't want to wait any longer. Then I got a book that is on a topic that I'm really interested in, and it's Boys and Sex, Young Men on Hookups, Love, Porn, Consent, and Navigating the New Masculinity by Peggy Orenstein. And I just love books that have to do with basically our culture, our society right now, and how we view sex and masculinity, femininity, and all that type of gender conversation that we're having. This person also wrote Girls and Sex, so I want to read this one, and then I also want to read Girls and Sex whenever I can find a copy of it. Then we have 6 Days in Rome by Francesca Giacchio? I'm not too sure. I am trying to learn Italian slowly, but I clearly have forgot anything that I learned back in 2 years ago when the pandemic first started. But this is a typical girl goes to Rome, just got out of a relationship, goes and explore the art life of Rome, and I just love books that are set in Italy in general, so I think this one is going to be a great one to pick up. I've been reading The Italian Teacher in the summertime while I was writing my Riviera book, and I really love that one, and I think that this book is going to be something similar and something that I'll enjoy as well. Then I got The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd, and I had heard great things about this, and then everyone stopped talking about this book, so I'm just going to give you a brief blurb. It says here, Neil Young's whole life and greatest passion is cartography. Her father, Dr. Daniel Young, is a legend in the field and Neil's personal hero, but she hasn't seen or spoken to him ever since he cruelly fired her and destroyed her reputation after an argument over an old, cheap gas station highway map. But when Dr. Young is found dead in his office at the New York Public Library, with the very same seemingly worthless map hidden in his desk, Nell can't resist investigating. To her surprise, she soon, oh my god, I just realized that her name is Nell and I can't see anything. To her surprise, she soon discovers that the map is incredibly valuable and exceedingly rare. In fact, she may now have the only copy left in existence, because a mysterious collector has been hunting down and destroying every last one, along with anyone who gets in the way. But why? To answer that question, Nell embarks on a dangerous journey to reveal a dark family secret and discovers the true power that lies in maps. Sounds really cool. I love any books that have like the kind of like chasing map story. I just recently watched Uncharted and this is giving me that kind of vibe and can't wait to read this. Oh my god, we're making progress. We're almost there, but not really. So then I got Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danford. I saw Riley Marie talk about this one and this book is thicker than I thought it would be. It's like 600 pages long and it has dark academia vibes. So basically, our story begins in 1902 at the Brookshant School for Girls. Flo and Clara, two impressionable students, are obsessed with each other and with a daring young writer named Mary MacLane, the author of a scandalous best-selling memoir. Okay, I'm reading this next because this is the type of premise that I'm obsessed with. So this book, definitely gonna be like at the top of my TBR. I don't even need to read anymore. It's not only dark academia vibes and not only has it focused around a writer, but it's also a girl-on-girl romance. So really excited to read this one. We love representation on this channel. Oh my goodness, if you're wondering why I didn't put red lipstick today, it's because I'm not suffering through the dry spell in my throat that I had the other day. So I'm just gonna drink my water happily between takes because I can't live without water and I can't talk for that long. I don't normally talk for this long. Like I haven't talked for this long since I was like in university because I work for myself, I work at home alone. So I only talk when I talk to the camera. So it's kind of bad, but yeah, that's why I feel like out of breath and like my voice is so scratchy so quickly. I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but I feel like my brain thinks so much faster than what my mouth is articulating. So like I'm always like mixing up and messing up words because my brain's already on like topic number 10 in my head. So I don't know, it could be an ADHD thing, but yeah, it's hard. Okay, so then we have more fantasy books and I'm just gonna go quickly through them because they're all part of a series. I have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and this is basically part of the Court in Thorns series. So this is the fourth actual novel, I believe, and I've been collecting them because I want to binge read the whole series, but I don't want to like wait in between. So I think I'm gonna start it this year and then wait for the next ones, but I'm just glad that I waited this long because now I have all the books and I don't have to wait like other people because I'm not about that life. Then I got the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and it's the it's the Atlas Paradox. It's the second book and I think it's the final book, and it's in the Indigo exclusive edition. So that's why it looks like this, but I really like the gold foiling. So yeah, I still need to read the Atlas 6, but I was waiting for this book to come out so I can binge read as always because I love binge reading. It's so rewarding because if I read one book, I'll forget what it happens when I read the second one. So I can't wait to start the series. So I've been collecting Leigh Bardugo's book, especially the Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, whatever continuous series, and I was missing this one, King of Scars. So it's, yeah, I think it's the second book in the third series follow-up. Is it? I might be wrong, I might be right, I don't even know. Or it's the first book in the third series follow-up. But yeah, I am just working my way through the series right now. Then I got the Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie, and I just love this edition so much. I was actually supposed to see Margaret Atwood talk about Salman Rushdie and the events that has happened recently, basically because he wrote this book. there's a bounty on his head. Someone has attacked him and he was severely hurt and injured. I think he got a gunshot to the head, but do not quote me on that. And then he was in the hospital. I think he's on the mend right now. I think he's doing better. I'm not too sure what happened, but yeah, I really want to read the book that has started it all. And I have another book by Salman Rushdie that I want to read as well. I just want to see what it's all about and form my own opinions. Then I got Cassandra by Krista Wolf, and it's a novel and 4 essays, and it's basically talking about Cassandra from the Trojan War, and it's an interpretation of Cassandra, I believe, and I've heard great things about this. I don't know how, but I managed to like not have anything by Krista Wolf when I was doing my undergrad, and I think that's a shame. So I can't wait to read something by her, because I've always had like references to her, but I've never read anything directly by her, so can't wait to pick this one up. Then I got the Veer Tree Project by Nicola de Robertis Day, and I think this is also set in Italy. Yeah, so it says, while working at a bookstore in Berkeley, Gabrielle becomes intrigued by a mysterious Signor Vitri in Rome, whose voluminous book orders grow increasingly mystical and esoteric. Haunted by her Italian mother's schizophrenia and unsure of her own future, Gabrielle travels to Italy and, unable to locate Vitri, begins a quest to unearth the well-concealed facts of his life. So I love this kind of journey to uncover things, and I love journeys to uncover things in Italy. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like there's more than a few books and movies that have similar premise, where people try to uncover mysteries, family mysteries themselves, or something about an artist or an art, and they go to Italy and that's when they uncover it, and there's a whole journey towards oneself. So yes, I have a second book that is set in Italy in this haul, and I'm really excited because I really want to go to Italy at some point. Then I got Again by E. Lockhart. I love E. Lockhart, so I basically collect all of E. Lockhart's book. This one is a lyrical tale, and it has to do with a summer romance, and that's about it that I know about this one, so probably gonna read it in the summertime. Then I got The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, and when I heard about this book through Reagan from Peruse Project's video, I literally had to get this book because it sounds so fascinating. It says here, it's been 3 years and 17 days since C woke up on the shore of an abandoned island. She has no idea how she came to be marooned or what her life was like before. She has only the rickety house by the sea, the android she built for company, and a single memory. Somewhere beyond the horizon she has a sister, and it's up to C to escape the island and find her. A rolled away 16-year-old STEM prodigy, Casey, is also looking to escape from the science she once believed in and from her home. The Echo Cities, Earth's last unpolluted habitats, are meant to be a sanctuary for those who from deserving lineages, for those committed to planetary protection, but instead they're populated by people willing to do anything for refuge, even lie. After a series of man-made disasters rock the planet, Casey must decide if she's ready to use science to help humanity, even though it failed the people who mattered most to her. So I love stories that use like the environment, humanity, end of the world, new planets type of thing. So this is a whole genre that I really am into right now, and can't wait to read this one. Then I got The Outsider by Stephen King. I love Stephen King. I want to read all his novels. I collect all of his novels, blah blah blah. So again, this is a typical Stephen King novel. It's a living nightmare has come to Flint City, Oklahoma. An 11-year-old boy is found brutally murdered in a local park, an unspeakable crime that rocks local law enforcement to its core as the most heinous atrocity anyone there has ever witnessed, etc., etc. Enough said. I want to read this as usual because it's Stephen King. Then I got Someone's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford, and it's a memoir. It's a very short memoir, and it says here, through poverty, adolescence, in a fraught relationship with her mother, Ashley Ford wishes she could turn to her father for hope and encouragement. There are just a few problems. He's in prison and she doesn't know what he did to end up there. She doesn't know how to deal with the incessant worries that keep her up at night, or how to handle the changes in her body that draw unwanted attention from men. In her search for unconditional love, Ashley begins dating a boy her mother hates. When the relationship turns sour, he assaults her. Still reeling from the rape, which she keeps secret from her family, Ashley desperately searches for meaning in the chaos. Then her grandmother reveals the truth about her father's incarceration, and Ashley's entire world is turned upside down. I know that this one was a hard-hitting memoir. I can't wait to read it. It's also been blurbed by some of my favorite people on here, John Green, Glennon Doyle, and Laurie House Anderson. I really love memoirs, and I'm writing one of my own memoir right now, so I think this one is a great one. I won't tell you what I relate to this memoir, but there's some things that I do relate to about this memoir already, so I really want to read it. Then we've got Electra by Jennifer Saint, and it's the author of Ariadne, and basically retellings of Greek myth. All I'm gonna say here, because again it follows Trojan women, it says 3 women tangled in an ancient curse. So yes, can't wait to read this. Love Greek myths, love all the Greek myths retelling we're having lately. So this is one that I want to read next. I honestly thought we were doing progress, but we're really not, in my opinion. But we are, but we're not. Okay. So the next book is Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, PhD. She says, the surprising new science that will transform your sex life, and it's a revised and updated version. And basically the reason why I got this is that, first of all, it seems super interesting, and as you guys know already at this point, I love anything to do with gender, sexuality, sex life, discovering your body, knowing your body. But I got this one because at some point my friends have been sending me this book and screenshot of this book, because Come As You Are is also a lyric from Nirvana. It's also like a song by Nirvana, and it's my favorite song, one of my favorite songs, and I have a tattoo of Come As You Are on my body. So people have been sending this to me as a joke, but it's something that I would be interested in anyways. But yeah, I'm proudly representing this book because why not? Okay, when I saw this book at work, when I used to work at Chapters, I was immediately drawn, and it's Mayflies by Andrew O'Hagan, and it says here, in the summer of 1986 in a small Scottish town, James and Tilly ignite a brilliant friendship based on music, films, and the rebel spirit. With school over and the locked world of their fathers before them, they rush towards the climax of their youth, a magical weekend in Manchester, the epicenter of everything that inspires them in working class Britain. There, against the greatest soundtrack ever recorded, a vow is made to go at life differently. 30 years on, half a life away, the phone rings. Tully has news, a tender goodbye to an old union. Mayfly is a story of joy and the cost of love. Woo, I have shivers. This sounds so good. Woo. And it's been blurred by Colm Toibin and Douglas Stewart, the author of Sugar Brain, so you know it's a good book. Sitting on my floor is proven to be very cold today, so I'm kind of like getting a bit antsy here, but I got Dietland by Sarai Walker, and I honestly picked this book up because I love the title and I love the book, but let's just read the back here. Plum Kettle does her best not to be noticed, because when you're fat, to be noticed is to be judged. That is relatable. With her job answering fan mail for a teen magazine, she is biding her time until her weight loss surgery. But when a mysterious woman in colorful tights and combat boots begins following her, Plum falls down a rabbit hole into the world of Calliope House, an underground community of women who reject society's rule and is forced to confront the real cost of becoming beautiful. At the same time, a guerrilla group begins terrorizing a world that mistreats women, and Plum becomes entangled in a sinister plot. The consequences are explosive. I love this. I want to read this. I like books that have fat main characters, because it's something that I've always suffered to from childhood to adulthood. My weight has fluctuated so much my entire life. I've been dropping 10 kilo, putting it back on, dropping 20 kilo, putting it back on, being 30 kilo, dropping 30 kilo, putting it back on, etc. So I've been on two sides of the same coin, I feel like, and I can relate to anything that has to do with body image, body insecurity, being fat, being overweight, being skinny, being too skinny, being etc. So love tales like this, because we need the representation and we need more conversations around the beauty standards that we are suffering through as a woman today. So then we have Dawn by Elie Wiesel, and this is the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize for the book Night, and was a Jewish Holocaust boy survivor, and this one is the sequel, I believe, when he is now living as a terrorist in British controlled Palestine, and things unravel from there. So I think there's 3 books in this little trilogy, and I want to read all of them because these stories about war, they seem so far away, because if you live in North America, they seem like they don't exist, but they really do exist, and they are ongoing even now, even today, as we see everything that's happening, you know, with Ukraine, and even like political upheaval and political authority and powers that are really negatively impacting innocent lives every single day. And I am looking at you, Iran. I'm looking at you, the Islamic Republic, who are killing literally our people. So yeah. Then I have God, I Feel Modern Tonight, Poems from a Gal About Town, and it's by Catherine Cohen, and I just love the cover, and my favorite authors have shared this book, so I think it should be good, and I love some modern poetry in my life, so can't wait to read this one. I love that it's purple in the back. Then we got Words on Bathroom Walls, and it's by Julia Walton, and it says here, if you can't trust your mind, trust your heart. And this has been adapted into screen, and I want to watch the movie, but I want to read the book first because it has 2 actors that are pretty good that have starred in other movies. And yeah, I don't remember what this one is about. It could possibly be about bullying. No, I think it's about schizophrenia, and I think that's why I really wanted to watch the movie and read the book. And yeah, that's why it says when you can't trust your mind, trust your heart. So really like books that have centered mental illness, especially around young adult, because we need more conversation about that. I know I keep saying we need more conversation, but we are having all these conversations, so it's a great thing, and it's a great thing to be a reader in our day and age right now. I think for as much as we like to shit on things, I think that right now, in the moment of time, we have so many books about so many different topics, about so many different voices, and we need to keep pushing that forward. And yeah, I'm gonna stop my rant, but I'm really happy and I'm really excited to pick this one up. Okay, so another futuristic like tale is Juana Out of Order by Margarita Montemor, and it says here, it's New Year's Eve 1982, and at the stroke of midnight, Juana Lockhart will turn 19. As the countdown begins, Juana faints and awakens 32 years in the future in her 51-year-old body. Greeted by a friendly stranger in a beautiful house she's told is her own, Juana learns that with each passing year she will leap to another age at random. Who will she be next year? Philanthropist, club kid, world traveler, wife to a man she's never met? Surprising, magical, and heart-wrenching, Juana Out of Order is an unforgettable story about the burdens of time, the endurance of love, and the power of family. It's kind of funny because the book that I'm currently finishing writing has a little bit similar themes with like skipping into different time. So I think I should read this one to see what it's all about, because it feels really close to home and it feels really close to what I've been writing for the last 4 years. Then we have The Other Side of Loss. Wow, attacked. The Other Side of Loss by Jessie Kirby. This book has again been mentioned in the podcast Unbound Books, Books Unbound. Books Unbound, that's the podcast name, Books Unbound, where Ariel talked about this book, and it seemed really good. So it's about a girl, and she's like a social media influencer type of thing, and her life offline is not the same as online, and then she gets backlash for that, and then she goes on a hiking trip to go and figure things out, figure her life out. And I love tales that have to do with the internet and taking a break from the internet, figuring things out, figuring your life out, and you know, like that typical man goes into nature type of story. So Into the Wild is one of my all-time favorite book and movie and story, and it's really heartbreaking, but it's also very powerful. And I know this is not the same, but it gives me those kind of feelings. Then I got Read Something Else by Lemony Snicket, and it's just a collected and dubious wisdom of Lemony Snicket. So much inspiration and hope can be found in the pages of books and other than this one. So I think it's going to be really funny, really fun, and it's actually illustrated, so can't wait to read this one as well. Then we have Refuse to Be Done by Matt Bell, and it's how to write and rewrite a novel in 3 drafts. So obviously I like to write and I have to edit my novels, so I figured this one would be a good book to read. Everyday Trauma, Self-Explanatory by Tracy Shores, PhD. Remapping the brain response to stress, anxiety, and painful memories for a better life. And it's a very short book about trauma. So hopefully it's gonna be also very digestible and very helpful, because I'm kind of scared that it's too short, but we'll see. And then we have more books about writing and editing, and I have Do I Make Myself Clear? A Practical Guide to Writing Well in the Modern Age by Harold Evans, and it is pretty thick, but yeah, pretty self-explanatory again. How to Read Nonfiction Like a Professor, A Smart Irreverent Guide to Biography, History, Journalism, Blogs, and Everything in Between by Thomas C. Foster. Oh no! I just realized I got the large print edition. Well, whatever, it was like $2, but yeah, I love reading and analyzing what I read, so I feel like I will see if I can gather anything new that I haven't gathered from my degree, but hopefully I will. And as we all know, my obsession with French Riviera and researching the French Riviera for my novel, I got another book on art and about art in France and what was going culturally in France. And we have here in Montparnasse, obviously Montparnasse is not in the French Riviera, but it says here The Emergence of Surrealism in Paris, from Duchamp to Dali by Sue Rowe. And yeah, it's the same author that wrote In Montmartre, and I have that book as well and I've been reading it. But the reason why I want to read this is that although it doesn't talk about the French Riviera, it talks about authors that coincide, and I did a lot of work and research and reading and writing essays on surrealism, so it's just something that overall, generally speaking, interests me, so I got this one. Then I got Tunneling to the Center of the Earth by Kevin Wilson, and it's a short story collection, and it's been blurred by Anne Pratchett, and she said dazzling, and that's all I need to know. I hate when you buy books by the same author and the height doesn't match, not even half an inch or an inch away. But yeah, we have Sisters and we have Everything Under by Daisy Johnson, and yeah, I heard great things about both of these novels. I'm not gonna go into it. These are really books for like people that really like language and flowery language, you know, that prefer language over plot type of thing, from what I've gathered. But it could be really plot driven too. But then I got True Love, a novel by Sarah Gerard, and the cover really drew me, and then as well as the blurb, and it's basically Nina is a struggling writer, a college dropout, a liar, and a cheater. More than anything she once loved, she deserves it. So again, a book about writer. I love that it just never gets old for me. It truly never gets old for me, so really had to pick this one up as well. Another book that was highly recommended by Shaylin is this one, and it's Fruit of the Drunken Tree by Ingrid Rojas Contreras, and it's basically a mesmerizing debut set in Colombia at the height of Pablo Escobar's violent reign, about a sheltered young girl and a teenage maid who forge an unlikely friendship that threatens to undo them both. So just love the concept, and I love that it's set in Colombia. And then the final book that was actually recommended by her on her channel is Greenwood, and oh my god, I just noticed the end papers. And this one is set in 2038, and Jacinda J. Greenwood is a storyteller and an overqualified tour guide babysitting ultra-rich eco-tourists in one of the world's last remaining forests. It's 2008, and Liam Greenwood is a carpenter sprawled on his back after a workplace fall and facing the possibility of his own death. Oh, okay, it's a family saga. It keeps going to one Greenwood to the other, so I think this is gonna be really, really, really interesting. It says here, Greenwood reveals the knots of lies, omissions, and half-truths that exist in the root of every family's origin story. It is a magnificent novel of greed, sacrifice, love, and the ties that bind, and the hopeful, impossible task of growing toward the light. So, love that. I love that it's a family saga. Then I got Life with Picasso, Françoise Gillois and Carlton Lake in the typical New York Public Library edition, and I love these editions. I want to collect all these books in this edition because it's just beautiful. And yeah, it's just basically, it says here, Françoise Gillois was in her early 20s when in 1943 she met the 61-year-old Pablo Picasso, brought up in upper middle class comfort and educated at Cambridge and the Sorbonne in the hopes that she would go into the law. The young woman defied her family's vision and her father's fury and set out to become an artist. So I think this is going to be a fascinating tale about art and what it's like to choose art over a more conventional job. Like, yeah, you know, it's something that I suffer through, as well as someone who is choosing the unconventional route as well, with my writing, with my freelancing, with YouTube, etc. So really like these type of tales, and it's a real tale, and she knew Pablo Picasso. So then I got the High 5 Habit, Take Control of Your Life with One Simple Habit by Mel Robbins. And I watch Mel Robbins videos and I love her, and yeah, I think this is just going to be very helpful with habit forming and sticking with habits. So there's this book and there's another book by her that I really wanted, so I probably will get that one after I read this one. I'm gonna be real with you guys, I really thought that I would finish filming this on the second round, but it seems like I really can only do like 50 books at a time, because it's been like over an hour and I'm like exhausted. Like, I don't know how people like sit down to film a 3-4 hour video. Like, my attention span could not, my energy levels dies off, and I feel so bad filming and continue filming in that state. So to get back to my energy levels and to have the best possible video, we're gonna stop here and we're gonna resume again on another day and finish it off. And yeah, hopefully you will find amazing books to read in the next coming year. Hopefully this will inspire you to pick up some great books. And as we all know, there's books from every different genre, and I do intend to read everything that I buy. I know it seems like I buy an excessive amount, that's because I do, but I do intend to read everything that I buy, because I either heard great things about the book, I've been wanting the book, or something about the book grabs my attention and I read about the book and I research it on Goodreads and I see that, okay, this is potentially a great book for me, or relates to me in somehow, or relates to one of my special interest topics, because we know that I have like at least 10 of those. So yeah, I will be back for round 3. I thought we would do it on round 2, but yeah, it is what it is. See you soon. Alright, so we're finally at round 3 of this book haul. It's been a journey. I've filmed this like throughout the entire week. So we have 2 little stacks left, and let's get right into it. First, I got The Lying Life of Adults by Elena Ferrante, and this is a novel. This has been translated into English. Elena Ferrante is this like undercover writer of our time. We have no idea who Elena Ferrante is. There's like speculation and stipulation going around, but yeah, and this author has been highly translated and has been really like making the book world as of the last few years. And I have her Napolitan series, but I haven't read it. I want to read that series first, but I really am interested in seeing her other adult fictions. I believe that most of the author's book is set in Italy, and I love Italy. Like, I am obsessed with Italy and I want to go to Italy, so I really want to read her or his books, but I think it's a her. It could be a him, but whatever. Up for debate, I guess. I want to read all of their books, and then hopefully by that time I'll be able to visit Italy. So yeah, it feels like it's a cultural movement right now with this author, so really excited to pick this one up. I really like this cover and I like this edition a lot. Then we have Yes to Life in Spite of Everything by Viktor E. Frankl, and this is the man that wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and I believe it's the man who survived the Holocaust and had a positive mindset throughout, and I really want to read this one. It's really small, but I also just ordered the Man's Search for Meaning, Man's Search for Meaning, because I really want to read that one first, because that one's the one that's the most acclaimed. And yeah, I struggle to wrap my head around how different people experience things so differently, and how mindset really impacts how you face really traumatic situation. So I really want to explore, and I've seen a lot of his quotes around on TikTok, on Instagram, everything, and it always seems like a fascinating insight. Then we got Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blow, and basically I have no idea what this book is about, except that it's about a girl that is, I guess, consuming a lot of weed. But yeah, it says she has a front row seat to a liberal world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, not to mention group therapy. I believe this is going to be a coming of age story, because it says here Almost Famous meets Daisy Jones and the Six in this funny, wise, and tender novel about a 14-year-old girl's coming of age in 1970s Baltimore, caught between her straight-laced family and the progressive one she nannies for, which happens to be secretly hiding a famous rock star and his movie star wife for the summer. So yeah, it's also giving a lot of Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, so I think music, as you can see here, is gonna come into play a lot in this novel, and I'm really excited for it. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, the cover drew me in when this was first released, but now looking at the topic and the subject matters, this is definitely something my heart gravitates towards. Then we have the Apollo Murders by Chris Hadfield. Chris Hadfield is an astronaut, and he wrote the best-selling novel An Astronaut's Guide to the Life on Earth, and this is his fiction, and I literally heard him talk about this on a group meeting for when I was working in chapters, and this sounded so cool. So it's like a crime thriller. It follows Apollo 18, and like some crazy stuff happened in space, and a lot of people have loved this book, and I just can't wait to read this because honestly in the last few years of my life I've been so into space and so into like space stories. I used to hate space stories, and now I'm like obsessed with them. Like I've been going through the entire Star Wars series, I've been going through everything I can get my hands on, and I remember reading The Martian and being like, this is amazing, like this is one of my favorite books. And so yeah, I want to pick up more space stories, and I heard such great things about the Apollo Murders, and I think most of his books have to do also with like real life events or current events, and then he puts them in a like fictional setting, if I'm not mistaken. And this one is about almost 500 pages. So it should be quite an adventure. Okay, so the next books, I was really surprised to find them on Book Outlet, and they're art books. Okay, so we have a collection here, and it turns out that there are many more of these books, but I couldn't find them, so I'm just gonna wait until they have the rest of these books online. But let's go quickly through them. So they're hardcover, and they're illustrated, and full illustration with some information on the artist and the artist's life and work. And I find this super cool because a lot of times in my own novels I reference a lot of artists. So this one is Gauguin, then we have Leonardo da Vinci, then we have Kandinsky, we have Cezanne, Rembrandt, Salvador Dali, Goya, and Monet. Obviously I couldn't find the popular ones like Van Gogh, and I'm blanking, but Caravaggio probably, and other ones that we all know and love, but at least like Edward Hopper. But at least I found a lot of them online, and they're so cool, and I think they're like small introductory guide. And to be honest, I have done a lot of research and a course on media and art history, but not as much as most people. So I feel like this is a really good simple guide for people like me, ordinary people that love art and want to know more but don't know where to start. So yeah, I love how they look like too. Amazing, can't wait to read through them. Then I got This Close to Okay by just Lisa Cross Smith, and honestly I had won this book online but it never showed up. So I won it like over a year ago when this first came out, and it never showed up. So basically, long story short, this guy is about to on a bridge. This girl intervenes, but she doesn't tell him that she is a therapist. So, and I think from there we follow their friendship or their love story, and things become complicated. I really like the sound of the premise. I hope this book is going to be respectful of mental health issues, and I really can't wait to read it because I was supposed to have it in my hands over a year ago. So finally I'm like, okay, this book is lost, so I'm just gonna buy my own copy. Then speaking of mental health, I got Where Hope Comes From, Poems of Resilience, Healing, and Light by Nikita Jill. Not much more to say about that. Nikita Jill is another Instagram poet, but also a poet of her own right, and yeah, can't wait to read this one. Then I got Devotion by Madeline Stevens, and honestly, when I read the blurb, I got really fascinated by this. Basically, this story is about Ella, and she's broke, and she's 26 years old, and then luckily this couple saves her from financial ruin because she becomes a nanny to their son. And from there, Ella, the main character, she gets obsessed with the woman from the couple, because she is the same age as her, but the difference is that Loni, the woman she's obsessed with and working for, is basically from old money, so she's rich and she's artistic and she has everything going for her. So soon Ella becomes enraptured by her, but also she becomes more and more jealous, and she starts to go through her things, and I think something will happen. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think it makes sense that the title name is Devotion. Then we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. That's the author of The Love Hypothesis. Now comes another sciencey book, I believe. It says here, like an avenging purple-haired Jedi bringing balance to the mansplaining universe, B. Kroniswasser lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? If NASA offered her Marie her dream neuroengineering project, she would accept without hesitation. Duh. But the mother of modern physics never had to co-lead with Levi Ward. Sure, Levi has soul-piercing eyes, and sure, he caught her in his powerful coated arms like a romance novel hero when she accidentally damseled in distress on her first day in the lab. But Levi made his feelings toward B clearer in grad school. Arch nemesis work best when employed in their own galaxies far, far away. Oh, enemies to lovers. Okay, I see where this is going. I really want to read this one. I think I want to read this one more than The Love Hypothesis, but I like that they're books set around science. Can't wait to read this one. Then I got Remembered Rapture, The Writer at Work by Bell Hooks. I love Bell Hooks and really want to read more by her, and it's pretty self-explanatory. If you've never read Bell Hooks, please pick up Bell Hooks. It may or may not, depending on how you view the world, change your perspective on so many things such as love and power dynamics in relationship and the power we have towards ourselves, towards society, toward art, and really love her stuff so far. So I've been collecting all of her books and I want to read all of her books. Then I got We Are Not Broken, Changing the Autism Conversation by Eric Garcia, and this is basically about autism across America and how we see and perceive autism. And yeah, I really want to pick this one up and learn more. Then I got My Year Abroad by Chang Ray Lee, and I got this book because again, Aero Bassett from the Books Unbound podcast recommended this a few times on the podcast, but I like the idea of having a year abroad, and I was actually supposed to have my year abroad this year, but circumstances didn't permit me to do that anymore and things change. But however, I do want to have at some point in my life a year where I go abroad and experience different culture and live in different cities across the world, because mainly I work for myself and I want to be at that place where everything that I do online will make enough consistent income that I may be able to travel while doing the things that I do, doing the things that I love. And hopefully at that point my writing career will start, but we'll see what happens in the next coming month. But yes, I love tales about people going abroad and discovering new things and changing perspectives on life. This one follows a story of a young American life transformed by an unusual Asian adventure, a provocative novel about the human capacity for pleasure, pain, and connection. So yes, I really can't wait to read this one. And this is a bit of a heftier novel than I thought it would be. It's about 450 pages. But you know what? Jeffrey Eugenides and Jhumpa Lahiri literally blurb this, and I think this is gonna be a really great novel. It seems like it's one of those literary novels of our time, so can't wait to read it. Then I got I Think, Therefore I Draw, and it's Understanding Philosophy Through Cartoons by Thomas Cathcart and Danielle Klein, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's how to understand philosophy, and it's done so through the form of cartoons, so I think this is going to be really interesting. I took a philosophy class, but I feel like a lot of things I forgot about, so I want to start easy and then work my way into like big philosophers again. So I saw this one and I thought this was a really interesting concept. Then I got The Party Upstairs, a novel by Lee Connell, and this sounds like a kind of like one day story. It says here, an electrifying debut novel that unfolds in the course of a single day inside one genteel New York City apartment building, as tension between the building's super and his grown-up daughter spark a crisis that will by day's end change everything. So seems like an interesting concept. It looks like the main character followed her pursuit into art and it failed, and now she is living back at home with her parents. Pressure is rising, tension is rising, and we'll see what happens after the day ends. Then I got Wise Children by Angela Carter, and it says here, in their heyday on the vaudeville stages of the early 20th century, Dora Chance and her twin sister Nora, unacknowledged daughters of Sir Melchior Hazard, the great Shakespearean actor of his time, were known as the Lucky Chances, which with private lives as colorful and erratic as their careers. Now, at age 75, Dora is typing up their life story, and it is a tale indeed. This seems really cool. It's such an interesting concept, and I've been collecting all of Angela Carter's work because I think that she is masterful in everything that she does. So I really can't wait to read this one as well. And I like that it has to do with the stage and Shakespeare and what it means to be, you know, on the stage. So we have another New York City novel. I think we've been to like 4 of them at this point, and it says Killing It and Education by Camus Davis. And here it says, Camus Davis was at an unhappy crossroads. A longtime magazine editor, she had left New York City to pursue a simpler life in her home state of Oregon with the man she wanted to marry, and taken an appealing job as the food editor at Portland Magazine. But neither job nor man delivered on her dreams, and in the span of a year, Camus was unemployed on her own with nothing to fall back on. Disillusioned by the decade she had spent as a lifestyle journalist, advising other people how to live their best life, she had little idea how to best live her own life. She did know one thing: she no longer wanted to write about the genuine articles, so she wanted to be it. Oh, this is actually a memoir or something? This is confusing. Huh, this is interesting. Okay, I didn't know. I thought this was actually fiction, but it's actually a pretty nice turn of events. I would like to see how this magazine writer changes her life and discovers what makes her happy, so seems like a cool tale to read. Then I got I Came All This Way to Meet You, Writing Myself Home by Jamie Attenberg, and this one is a memoir of transformation. It says here, what does it take to devote oneself to art? What does it mean to own one's idea? And what does the world look like for a woman moving to it solo? Another memoir collection of art and what it's like to become an artist and live this world and day and age as a woman. I think this is going to be a really cool book. Speaking of art, writing, and creativity, I got Creativity Sucks and 30 Other Things I've Learned by Phil Hansen, and it has some little images as well. When I saw this title, I'm like, this looks like something that I would enjoy, and yeah. Then I got Whistle because I didn't know this, but E. Lockhart was the writer of the story, and it's illustrated by Manuel Pretano, and it's a new Gotham City hero. So I've never heard about this, but it seems like it's set in Gotham, and the main character is going to be this kind of newfound hero, and it's E. Lockhart, so I'm sure it's going to be good, so I had to pick this one up. I got The Trouble with Happiness and Other Stories by Tove Ditlevsen, and this has been translated from Denmark. And this one again is a short story collection, and I've seen this author around recently a lot, like not the author itself but her books, and it seems like a lot of her memoirs lead up to questions about, you know, what it's like to be a man and a woman in society, what it's like to perform, what it's like to grow up a certain way at a certain time, and I think it's going to be fascinating. Then I got Suicide Notes from Beautiful Girls by Lynn Weingarten, and basically this one friend dies and the other friend is trying to figure out why she died, or why does she, you know. Basically this girl, Delilah, dies. She burns herself to death in her stepfather's shed, but her best friend June believes that there's more at play to this story, and she wants to uncover what happened to her best friend. And this seems like an interesting tale, and I've seen this book a while on Book Outlet. The cover is stunning, but I never picked it up, so this time I was like, I'm going to pick it up. Then I got She Said by Jodi Cantor and Megan Towie, and this is basically the catalyst, the Weinstein story, and basically the employees of Weinstein, how they started this entire movement. And right now there is a movie adaptation of this book, and I really can't wait to read this and then watch the movie. It's a very important discussion to be having right now in our day and age. It says here, breaking the sexual harassment story that helped ignite a movement. So really can't wait to read this one. Then we have The Tobacco Wives by Adele Myers, and I'm just gonna read you the blurb. Maddie Sykes is a promising seamstress who's just arrived in Brightleaf, North Carolina, the tobacco capital of the South, where her aunt has a thriving sewing business. After years of war, rations, and shortages, Brightleaf is a prosperous wonderful in full Technicolor bloom, and Maddie is dazzled by the bustle of the crispy, uniformed female factory workers, the palatial homes, and most of all, her aunt's glossiest clientele, the wives of the powerful tobacco executives. So I love that this is a female-centered story, and I really can't wait to read and see what this is all about. And I don't feel like anyone has been talking about this book, so if I could be the one to talk about this book, I'd be happy to do so. Then I got You'd Be Home Now by Kathleen Glasgow. The reason why I picked this one up is because I'm really fascinated and interested in seeing how other people talk about young teens having substance abuse problems, having drug problems. Because the thing is, I don't think we've broken that barrier yet about talking about drugs in a different light in YA novels, YA settings, and towards a younger audience, because I remember having that drug talk with my parents, be like, drugs are bad and this and that, but then you enter high school and then all of a sudden you are doing those drugs. So I feel like I wish we had more conversations around that, and I wish we had more like real stories and real experiences around that, because it's one thing to say something very extremist about drugs, and then it's another thing to experience the reality of drug and drug use and explain exactly all the little things and all the little factors that come into play. Hopefully this one is going to be doing just that, and yeah, I can't wait to read it and start a discussion, hopefully. Then I got another very important book, and it's called The Apology V, formerly Eve Ensler, and it says here, through the apology, V has set out to provide a new way for herself and a possible road for others, so that survivors of abuse may finally envision how to be free. She grapples with questions she has sought answers to since she first realized the impact of her father's abuse on her life. How do we offer a doorway rather than a locked cell? How do we move from humiliation to revelation, from curtailing behavior to changing it, from condemning predators to calling them to reckoning? What will it take for abusers to genuinely apologize? I think this is going to be a really life-changing read for me, but I also want to read the other novel by this author, which is The Vagina Monologues, and see what I think. But I've never heard of anyone talking about this, and I think this is a really important discussion to be having. Once again, this is not a light book haul, it's a very book haul reflective of my life as well. So okay, wait until we get into the mental health books. Then we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of this book because Grady Hendrix has been really making rounds the last few years with their popular books, and especially thriller books. Basically, we all know this like trope of the final girl in horror movies where there's one final girl that survives, blah 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 blah. So there's a support group for final girls, and then all of a sudden someone is attacking and killing these females from the support group, and from there we discover that story and what unravels and what the hell is happening. So hopefully this is taking the trope at its head, and I think it is because a lot of people have loved and enjoyed this one. Oh, I remember when I read the back of this book, it sounded so cool. It says here, In the Land of Men by Adrienne Miller, and it's a memoir. Okay, so let me read you the blurb. It says, at 25, Adrienne Miller became the first woman to take on the role of literary editor of Esquire. It was at a pivotal moment when the old guard of male writers who had defined manhood itself were giving away to a new literary movement, as exemplified by the work of David Foster Wallace. A decade older than Miller, Wallace would become the defining voice of a generation, and their intellectual and artistic exchange grew into a highly charged professional and personal relationship. This memoir, a rich, dazzling story of power, ambition, and identity, asks the question, how does a young woman fit into this male culture, and at what cost? Honestly, I really can't wait to read this memoir because it seems really cool. Then I got The Elizas by Sarah Shepard. I haven't read anything from Sarah Shepard since I read the entire Pretty Little Liars series, and you know what? I enjoyed it. It was not wonderful, it was not great, but it was entertaining nevertheless. So I wanted something new by her. I've seen she's been publishing new books. So it says here, when writer Eliza Fontaine is rescued from the bottom of a hotel pool just a few weeks before her first novel is going to be published, her family assumes that it's another failed suicide attempt. But Liza swears she was pushed. The problem is she barely remembers that night, a result of mixing cocktails with worsening memory loss due to a brain tumor. Feeling ignored and vulnerable, she takes it upon herself to find the truth. So automatically already like it because it follows a writer and discovering what's happening, and we already know that she's probably going to be an unreliable narrator, and I think that's going to be a great story to read in the summertime actually. Then I picked up a book that no one talks about, but I heard someone talking about it and I automatically knew I wanted to read this, and it's If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga. And it says here, in post-Arab Spring Cairo, two unnamed characters meet and fall in love. She is a nostalgic daughter of Egyptian immigrants returning to a country she's never been to before. He was a photographer of the revolution who is now unemployed and living in a rooftop shack. As their alternating perspectives unfold in blocks of thought, poetic prose, their desire for each other, for the selves they strive to become to the other, takes a violent turn. A dark romance exposing the fraught fissures in American identity politics when exported overseas. If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English is a lush post-colonial novel of the 21st century. Does that not sound so good? Why is no one talking about this? Why has no one heard about this? I really can't wait to read this personally, and it seems like it's going to be such a great read, and I love that it has a lot of discussions going on at the same time. And yeah, oh my god, we're finally making it to the end. So first we got The Body in Pain, The Making and Unmaking of the World by Elaine Scarry. This is literally what it means. It says, The Body in Pain is a profoundly original meditation on the vulnerability of the human body and the literary, political, philosophical, medical, and religious vocabularies used to describe it. So yes, can't wait to read this one. I've been really fascinated on the language we use to describe our bodies in our society because it's a very fascinating topic, and it's something that we don't realize how we use language to define different types of bodies too and different types of beings. And right now with everything that's happening, it's the best time to be examining this type of language and rhetoric in a political setting and in a literary setting and all kinds of settings. So can't wait to read this one. Okay, this is an exciting book, and it's The Bay of Angels by Anita Bruckner, and this is my first Anita Bruckner novel that I purchased, and this here is set in Nice, and that's why I purchased this, because you know me, my French Riviera stack has been accruing in the last 2 years because of the novel that I'm writing. So it says here, Zoe is delighted when her widowed mother marries Simon, a generous older man who owns a villa in Nice. However, the long enchanted visits to France she enjoys comes to an abrupt end when Simon suffers a bad fall. Zoe and her mother, finding themselves surrounded by well-meaning strangers, must learn how and how not to trust appearances. Ooh. I love that. Everything that is set in the French Riviera, I don't know why, is always about appearances. Everything that I read so far is about appearances. My own novel is about what is real and what is not real, what's a lie and what's reality, what's going on and what's not going on. I'm sorry, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I really can't wait to read more stories set in the French Riviera. Oh, so you thought we were done talking about mental health? No fucking way. So here we have adult children of emotionally immature parents, how to heal from distant, rejecting, or self-involved parents. I love my parents. Please don't read too deeply into this. We've had our fair qualms over the year. I think this author just has some interesting thoughts and books about literally parental relationships, and I think it's a very important thing to read. How do I talk about this? Although I love my parents, they're not the perfect human beings I've always thought them to be, and they're not the horrible human beings that at some point I believed them to be. So long story short, generational trauma is a real thing. It's a freaking real thing, and that's actually something a lot of children from immigrant parents witness a lot. So not to get into it too much, I don't want to get into the politics of this, just know that I really am interested in reading this, and this is by Lindsay C. Gibson. So can't wait to read this one. And emotional maturity is believe it or not, you don't gain that through age. You do gain that through experiences, through time, but it's very hard to actually see people exemplary of great emotional maturity. And I hate to break it to people, but it's true. It could be that your child is more emotionally mature than you are, and it could be that you are an emotionally immature parent or adult. Even adults, even me, I'm 25 right now, and sometimes I feel like I lack the emotional maturity that I had when I was younger, which is not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing either. So honestly, it's something for me to research and to understand more, because a lot of trauma has to do with this too. But I'm not gonna bore you any longer. If I ever make a mental health reading vlog, you will know, you'll be the first to know. But just know that I have another channel, Sandra's Shelf, where I talk a lot about self-help and about the things that I read through literature that have helped me. Okay, so we're gonna go quickly to the next two books because they're also having to do with mental health. So just gonna mention the titles. You can look at them up afterwards. They're pretty self-explanatory anyways. So first we have here The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a Toxic Culture by Gabor Mate with Daniel Mate. And this is the author that has been really getting a lot of traction lately through TikTok and through his talks. And honestly, I regret not meeting him when I had the chance. Like, I regret not going to his talk at TIFA, Toronto Authors Festival, International Festival. I do believe that by the time I wanted to get a ticket, they were sold out, because that's how famous he's becoming. He has other novels. I've basically ordered his other novels. But yeah, I really want to read this one and the one on addiction first before I read his other novels, because this just seems like something that I will highly benefit from. And this book is really large and I'm really excited to read it. I don't know if anyone else can tell, but I'm losing my voice. This is how I'm not used to speaking for hours at a time. But then I got also the Borderline Personality Disorder Workbook, an integrative program to understand and manage your BPD, and it's by Daniel G. Fox. I was listening to Back from the Borderline podcast, and she was talking to him. Actually, she was talking to Daniel J. Fox. She interviewed him. Great guy. Honestly, she's amazing. Molly is amazing, the host of the podcast, and Daniel J. Fox is amazing too. He's really like the person that gives you hope. If you have BPD, he's the guy to listen to, because it really gives you hope and you really, like, you know, makes you understand how you can work through things. So I really wanted to get the workbook to help myself as well. So I highly recommend him and his work, and to listen to his YouTube or wherever you can find him online. Okay, mental health segment is done. So let's finish off with the books. I have another dark academia book, and it's The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, and I just love the cover. It's gorgeous, really nice. So it says here, let's open it up. It says here, when Anne Stilwell arrives in New York City, she expects to spend her summer working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Instead, she finds herself assigned to the Cloisters, a Gothic museum and guarded renowned for its collection of medieval art and its enigmatic researcher, Patrick Rowland, the charismatic curator specializing in the history of tarot, Rachel Mundray, Patrick's brilliant curatorial associate, and Leo Bitberg, the gardener charged with cultivating the museum's poisonous plants. Eager to escape her troubled past in rural Washington, Anne is happy to indulge the researchers' more outlandish theories, only to find that their fascination with ancient divination runs deeper than academic obsession. Ooh, is this gonna be like a witchy tale, perhaps? Huh. She finds herself at the center of a dangerous game of power, seduction, and ambition. Ooh, I really like this. I like this a lot. I like that this has to do with tarot, because I was literally waiting for a dark academia to mention tarot, because yeah. Okay, I really can't wait to read this one. Now, for the next little segment, we have graphic novels, so I'm just gonna run through them. We have Anne of Green Gables, a graphic novel by Maria Martson and illustrated by Brenda Tumler. I heard great things about this one, again, from the Books Unbound podcast, and this just looks so beautiful. So many green tones, and I love Anne of Green Gables. It's a staple. I'm Canadian. You guys know that. Love Anne of Green Gables so much. I love Ellen Montgomery. I went to visit her home. I'll talk more about that one day. I'll eventually make a reading vlog of me reading the entire Anne of Green Gables series. But yeah, I saw this and I really needed to read this one and have this one because it just seems so lovely. Then I got Beautiful Darkness by Fabian Vellman and Kursakoit. I can't read this cursive, but apparently this is like a horrific, like, into the woods tale. And it seems like it's very bloody and very gory, but it seems like it's gonna be cool, and I'm probably gonna read it next fall season. Then we have Medusa by Jessie Burton and illustrated by Olivia Lomanek. Obviously this is an adaptation of Medusa. We all know Medusa, but the graphic novel looks so freaking stunning. I really can't wait to pick this one up. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but I'm sure it's gonna be good because it's Jessie Burton, and Jessie Burton writes a lot of historical fiction. So since we're talking about myths, let's just continue on with myths. So we have Greek myths by Meet the Heroes, Gods, and Monsters of Ancient Greece, and it's written by Jean Menzies. And if you guys don't know who she is from the channel Jean's Bookish Thoughts. I've been listening and watching her for the last 3 years, but she's been on BookTube for forever. She does her PhD in myth or mythology, I believe so, and she's finishing up her PhD, so she knows her shit. She knows what she's talking about. She's like researched this for the last like 10 years, and yeah, she wrote a book, and it's been illustrated obviously by someone else, but it's so beautiful and such big like images and perfect for children but also for adults, and I can't wait to read this. And she also wrote Egyptian myths, so Meet the Gods, Goddesses, and Pharaohs of Ancient Egypt, and she wrote a third one that's coming up in May or June, I believe, of 2023, and I obviously pre-ordered that one because we gotta support people that are from the book and writing community on YouTube and online, because why not? We gotta support them. And I love her channel, I love her content, so educational, so entertaining, and so amazing, and she just seems like such a great person, so had to get these. Then I got The Secret to Superhuman Strength by Alison Bechdel, and obviously I had to get this because Alison Bechdel wrote one of my favorite novels, graphic novels of all time, and memoirs of all time, which is Fun Home, and yeah, I just had to get it, and this is so cool. It's full of illustration, and it's basically a full-size graphic novel, and I think this one has to do with the Beat Generation. It says here, the more Bechdel tries to improve herself, the more herself appears to be the thing in her way. She turns for enlightenment to Eastern philosopher and literary figures, including beat writer Jack Kerouac, whose search for self transcends in the great outdoors, appears in moving conversation with the author's own. Oh, okay, so I think this is again another memoir by Alison and her upbringing as a writer specifically as well, and like the search for herself and the search for her identity and her sexuality. So can't wait to read this one. I know it's not going to disappoint. Since we're talking about myth and writing, I have The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell, and I have Goddesses, Mysteries of the Feminine Divine by Joseph Campbell. If you guys don't know already, I'm obsessed with Joseph Campbell. He's been like, honestly, he's one of these historians and writers, like great writers of our time, and he's been taught in academic settings, and people are consistently referring to him and going back into all of the different works he wrote about. And he didn't write about only one type of myth or one type of society. He wrote about Eastern, Western, all kinds of myth. He did all kinds of research, and he was really a powerhouse in that domain. So I have been collecting all of his books on writing and myths, and yeah, can't wait to read that. Alright, so we're at the last final 3 books. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. My throat can't believe it either. But I have To Paradise by Hannah Yanagihara, and obviously I had to get this one. It came out at the beginning of 2022. Was holding off on it, but I really needed it. I really love A Little Life, and I've been reading her other works. So this one is an alternate version of 1893 America, New York. and is part of the Free States where people may live with and love whomever they please, or so it seems. The fragile young scion of a distinguished family resists betrothal to a worthy suitor drawn to a charming music teacher of no means. In a 1993 Manhattan besieged by the AIDS epidemic, a young Hawaiian man lives with his much older, wealthier partner, hiding his troubled childhood and the fate of his father. And in 2093, in a world riven by plagues and governed by totalitarian rule, a powerful scientist's damaged granddaughter tries to navigate life without him and solve the mystery of her husband's disappearances. What the hell is happening? Fear, love, shame, need, loneliness. What in the American novel is this? I need to read this right now. Whoa. Okay, this seems like a really fascinating story. And it's, again, obviously, because it's Hana Yanagihara, it's 600 pages long. And honestly, has no one been reading this? Like, I haven't seen a singular review on this. This was like everyone's most anticipated novel of the year. What the hell happened? Why is no one reading this? Why is no one talking about this? I'm very confused. And the fact that it talks also about the AIDS epidemic. We don't have enough novels talking about the AIDS epidemic. Like, why is no one talking about this? I'm very perplexed. I really need to read this myself because either people are really hating this or people are gatekeeping this. Like, why is no one talking about this? I'm so confused, truly. So we have our last two novels. These two have been going around, so these two everyone knows about. First, we have A Surge in Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers, and then we have Tender is the Flesh by whom? By Augustina Basterica. So these two books are like having like a little bit of a cannibalism tone to them, so I'm just gonna read you briefly a bit about both. So this one here, A Surge in Hunger, is about a food writer. It says, food writer Dorothy Daniels is in love with what she does. Discerning, meticulous, and very, very smart, Dorothy's clear mastery of the culinary arts make it likely that she could, on any given night, whip up more inspired dish than any one of the chefs she writes about. Dorothy loves sex as much as she loves food, and while she has struggled to find a long-term partner that can keep up with her, she makes the best of her single life, frequently traveling from Manhattan to Italy for a taste of both. But there is something within Dorothy that's different from everyone else, and having suppressed it long enough, she starts to embrace what makes Dorothy uniquely terrifyingly herself. Recounting her life from a seemingly idyllic farm-to-table childhood, the heights of a career, to the moment she plunges an ice pick into a man's neck on Fine Island, Dorothy Daniels shows up what happens when a woman finally embraces her superiority. Yes, so I believe this woman, she cooks and she kills, so seems cool. Then we have Tender is the Flesh, and it says here, working at a local processing plant, Marcos is in the business of slaughtering humans, though no one calls them that anymore. His wife has left him, his father is sinking into dementia, and Marcos tries to not think too hard about how he makes a living. After all, it happens so quickly. Cannibalism. First, it was reported that an infectious virus has made all animal meat poisonous to human. Then governments initiated the transition. Now eating human meat, special meat, is legal. Marcos tries to stick to numbers, consignments, processing. Then one day he's given a gift, a live specimen of the finest quality. Though he's aware that any form of personal contact is forbidden on pain of death, little by little he starts to treat her like a human being, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. What in the fresh movie adaptation is this? Okay, this sounds really cool. These two sound really cool. I think I want to read these two side by side, and I understand why people are hyping these up so much because they're such weird tales. I do think that like cannibalism is a thing that like is currently happening right now, so it's weird, but we shouldn't make it acceptable, and I don't think these books are making that acceptable at all, so hopefully that's what we're gonna get from these. Oh my goodness, we finally made it. I don't know why I'm moving my arms like that, probably because my back hurts, but yeah, we made it. We made it. Congratulations, thank you. If you have made it this far into this video, not to copy other creators, but I've seen a lot of people do this. If you made it this far in the video, put the stacked book emoji, you know, the one that I'm talking about, the stacked books, like the green, blue, red one, I think. Is that the color? I think that's the color. But yeah, put that stack emoji down below so I know who's a real fan on this channel. No, I'm joking. Just to know like who actually sit through this entire video so I can understand and see if people actually want to watch videos like this. But yeah, as I said, mental health matters, always will, and always going to be something that matters to me personally. So I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope that things are looking up for you. I hope that you can escape through books and literature. I hope that you can find some good books and literature from this haul. And as always, feel free to contact me directly or comment down below, but always be respectful of other people, obviously. As always, every book, literally all 150 books, will be linked down below for you to browse through. If I actually can link all these books, maybe. We'll see if I can link them all, but I'll try to link them all, and if not, maybe I'll make a comment of them as well in a comment so that we can have them all displayed. As always, if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. All readers and non-readers are more than welcome on this channel. My goal here is to help inspire you to read more books and to help you find your next favorite book. If I can accomplish those two goals, I'll be more than happy. The goals of this channel have been accomplished, so please do let me know. And yeah, this was a lot. This was a doozy. This was a lot. This was costly, but this was worth it for me, and this was the thing that got me through those few weeks, months. So here we have it. Lots of great books, lots of things to look forward to. And to be honest, right now, I don't know which one I want to start next. Usually I always have one at the end of the haul that I show up to you guys and I say, I'm gonna go and read this right now. But today, we have too many options. So right now, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna see you on the next book video. Bye!